Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Bold Fans channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Bill took a gulp, but the burn of the vodka did nothing to alleviate the pain. He recalled the day it all started to crumble barely 3 weeks ago. Luna had approached him, her eyes wide with a vulnerability that worried and excited him. She carried his child. Their child. A secret born from furtive moments of desire in the turbulence of the Forrester world, where loyalties moved like sand and love was a weapon used mercilessly. Luna, with her gentle soul and unwavering heart, had chosen him over Finn, her steady, sympathetic spouse, the man who had rescued her from the depths of her own misery. What about Bill? Bill was a firestorm that destroyed everything in its path. I can't keep this from him forever, Luna had muttered that afternoon in his office at Spencer Publications, her hand protectively resting on the tiny bump in her belly. The area smelled like new ink and leather-bound ledgers, a haven of power where Bill arranged rivals' demise with a single headline. However, in that moment it felt like a cage. Bill had drawn her close, his lips brushing across her temple. You won't have to. We'll go away. Paris, Tokyo, anywhere you want. I'll make it all disappear. The Forresters, the Logans, even Finn. They'll never touch us. Her chuckle had been light, laced with regret. You can't buy our way out of this, Bill. Finn. He deserves the truth. He's been my rock. Jealousy had surged out, scorching and unexpectedly. Finn Finnegan is the golden boy surgeon, with his moral compass and childlike charm. The man who had married Luna in a frenzy of atonement, after her mother's manipulations almost wrecked them all. Bill had noticed how Finn gazed at her, as if she were the dawn rising after a long night. And now this child, Bill's child, was threatening to eclipse that brightness. Bill could not bear it. He refused to share her, even in fragments. That night, while Luna slept in his arms, Bill made the call. A single stunning action. He leaked a fake tale to his own tabloid network. Forrester heiress's illicit affair. Luna Finnegan's betrayal rocks medical dynasty. Photos were doctored just enough to pass muster. Grainy shots of Luna and him in intimate embraces, timestamps adjusted to reflect a long-standing lie. He portrayed Finn as an oblivious cuckold, and Luna as a seductress who had trapped the media magnate for power and riches. It was violent and personal, intended to shatter Finn's confidence and pull Luna into his arms out of desperation. The story broke at dawn the following day. Bill waited from his penthouse as the notifications rushed in. Texts from Ridge, furious voicemails from Brooke, and worst of all, a single gut-wrenching message from Finn. Is this true? Call me. Now. Luna discovered this while en route to the hospital for her routine checkup. Her phone buzzed ceaselessly in the passenger seat of her sleek hybrid SUV, the screen displaying headlines that made her stomach turn. She pulled over on the twisting Mulholland Drive, her hands trembling as she scrolled. No, this can't. The words were muddled by tears. Bill's name appeared everywhere. Their relationship turned into a controversy. And Finn, oh God, Finn. His face was all over the news, looking like he'd been gutted. She drove straight to Cedars where Finn worked, and burst into the emergency room lounge like a ghost. Nurses parted for her, leaving whispers in her wake. Finn was there, scrubbing out of surgery, his scrub stained with evidence of life saved. He turned, and the color left his face. Luna. His voice was a whisper, tinged with skepticism. It's not. I can explain. But as a strong agony lanced through her abdomen, the words caught in her mouth. She doubled over and gasped. Finn. It hurts. He was there for her right away, professional instincts taking precedence over emotional grief. The baby. Get her to exam room 3. Nurses rushed in, taking her away as Finn followed, his fingers gripping hers like a lifeline. In the ultrasound room, the world became limited to the buzz of the machine and the chilly gel on her skin. Finn's face, inches from her own, was a mask of controlled misery. Stay with me, Luna. Breathe. The technician's expression slumped as the wand moved. Silence stretched, disturbed only by the rain pattering against the glass. I'm so sorry, she said finally. There's no heartbeat. Luna's world crumbled. A primal, never-ending cry erupted from her throat. Finn held her as she crumbled, his tears silent but hot. Our baby gone. However, it was not their baby. That was Bill's. And as she screamed out the truth between gasps, Finn's grip tightened. Not in wrath, but in a deep despair that threatened to drown them both. Bill came an hour later, rushing past security with the arrogance of a guy who controlled half the city. He rushed inside the private recovery room, soaked from the storm, his eyes wide. Luna sat pale on the pillows, 4 lines dangling from her arm, Finn by her bedside, his hand still entangled with hers. "What the hell happened?" Bill shouted, his voice thundering. Finn got up slowly, his surgeon's hands locked into fists. This is what you did." His voice was firm, but his eyes were filled with a rage Bill had never seen. "That story you planted, it hit her like a freight train. Stress, trauma. It induced the miscarriage. The doctor confirmed it." Bill staggered back, the tumbler in his mind's eye slipping from his grasp. "No. I did it to protect us. To bring you to me, Luna. We could have protected." Luna's voice was raspy and hollowed with anguish. "You destroyed everything. This child, it was ours, Bill. Innocent. And because of your jealousy, your need to control." She looked away, tears streaming down her cheeks. Finn stepped forward and acted as a shield between them. "Get out, Spencer. You've taken enough." But Bill remained motionless. He slumped into a chair, head in hands, the great dollar bill reduced to a broken man. "I didn't know. God, Luna, forgive me." "There's no forgiveness here," Finn murmured gently, the weight of the words landing like lead. "Not for this." The days that followed became hazy with gray. Luna returned to the seaside house she lived with Finn, which had once been full with laughter but now echoed with absence. The nursery they'd started, tiny onesies arranged neatly in a drawer, and an used Star Mobile, became a memorial to what might have been. She moved through the rooms like a specter, caressing the walls as if they could contain the ghost of the life that had passed. Finn was her anchor, but the tension was visible in the shadows beneath his eyes. He took leave from the hospital and canceled procedures to be with her. Nights were the hardest. She'd wake up screaming from nightmares about blood and death, and he'd hold her till daylight, whispering promises he wasn't sure he could follow. "We'll get through this," he'd say, but his voice cracked, revealing a split in his own spirit. The reality regarding paternity hung between them like a guillotine. Luna had confessed everything in the hospital, the affair the result of her loneliness during Finn's never-ending shifts, Bill's magnetism a siren song in the midst of her insecurity. Finn had listened without interruption, his face a canvas of sorrow, but when she was finished, he kissed her on the forehead. "I love you, Luna. That's never changed. But we need time. Momentum." It was a nasty joke. Bill, on the other hand, became increasingly agitated. He temporarily closed his tabloids, bringing the empire to a halt under his attention. Rich Forrester called, offering a rare olive branch, truce in the name of family, if Bill would just stand back. But Bill could not. He drove by the beach house nightly, parking in the shadows and watching the lights turn on and off. He spotted Finn and Luna on the porch, her head on his shoulder, and the sight twisted the knife even further. Bill confronted Finn at the hospital one evening as the sun sunk into the water like a golden wound. The ER was quiet, a rare pause, and Finn was refilling supplies when Bill walked in the doorway, haggard and unshaven. "Finnegan," Bill hissed quietly to avoid drawing attention. "We need to talk." Finn stood up, his expression hardening. "There's nothing left to say." "There is." Bill drew closer, desperation etched on his features. "Tell me why. Why did it happen? The doctor said it was stress, but give me the reason. Make me understand so I can live with it." Finn hesitated, gloved hands still on a tray of needles. For a brief moment, pity appeared in his eyes. The doctor saw the patient, the guy saw the destruction. He sighed, removing his gloves. "All right. But not here." The rooftop. They rose silently, the elevator buzzing like a confessional. The rooftop was windy, and the city sprawled underneath in indifferent splendor. Finn leaned on the railing and looked out at the glittering lights. Bill paced like a caged tiger. "The reason," Finn said in a deep, sorrowful voice, "starts with you, Bill. But it's not just the article. It's everything you represent, the chaos, the possession. Luna's been carrying this weight since she was a girl. Her mother's schemes, the constant fight for identity in this family circus. When she met you, it was escape, excitement, but it was also poison. Bill groaned. I loved her. You loved the idea of her, the conquest. Finn pivoted, his gaze locked on Bill's. The stress response, cortisol flooding her system, constricting blood flow to the placenta. It was acute, triggered by the shock of the exposure. Her blood pressure spiked, heart rate erratic. By the time she reached me, the damage was done. The fetus. It couldn't withstand it. Microabruptions, hypoxia. Scientifically, it's straightforward. Emotionally. He went on, his voice thickening. It's a death sentence for hope. Bill grasped the railing, his knuckles white. I thought I was saving her from you. From the mediocrity of your perfect little life. Finn laughed bitterly. Mediocrity? My life with Luna was real. Messy, yes, but real. You? You're a storm that leaves nothing standing. He paused, the wind tossing his hair. The reason, Bill, the deepest one, is that you never learned to let go. You shocked us all with that story, thinking it would bind her to you. Instead, it severed the one pure thing she had left. Uninvited tears burned Bill's eyes. Can I fix it? No. Finn's reply was definite, sharp as a knife. But you can leave. Let her heal. Bill nodded, the battle leaving him. He walked away that night a different man, the scotch replaced by black coffee, and the balcony by therapy sessions he never admitted to. He sold off some of his media assets, directing the earnings to anonymous donations for women's health clinics, a tacit atonement for the life he had taken. Luna and Finn's path was slower and more difficult. Grief came in waves. Luna's retreat into painting, her canvases splashed with blues and blacks. Finn's overwork, saving people while his own heart ached. They went to counseling, with the therapist serving as a neutral ground for uncovering realities like buried mines. Why did you stay? Luna said one night as she nestled up to him in bed, the rain falling softly outside. Because losing you would mean losing me, Finn explained simply, his fingertips tracing the scar on her soul. And because I believe in us. In second chances. Months went by, the wound scabbed over but never completely healed. Luna returned to Forrester Creations with designs filled with a gentle melancholy that struck a profound chord, dresses like whispered elegies, textiles as soft as buried dreams. Bill maintained his distance, a shadow on the outskirts, his gaze lingering in boardrooms but his tongue shut. One clear fall evening, as leaves skittered across the shore like forgotten memories, Luna stood on their porch, palm on her flat stomach. Finn joined her and wrapped his arms around her waist. Do you think we could try again? She asked quietly, her voice shaking. He kissed her temples. When you're ready. No rush. Just us. Bill watched in the distance from his automobile, keeping one last vigil. The cause for the loss rang in his mind, Finn's words like a terrible refrain. He drove away into the night, and the city swallowed him whole. Redemption was a fantasy for men like him. What about regret? That was eternal. Yet, in the quiet spaces of mending, Luna discovered flickers of brightness. A pregnancy test months later was positive and tentative. Finn's pleasure was balanced by caution as they navigated ultrasounds with held breaths. The baby, a girl they discovered, kicked furiously, a fighter from the start. They named her Hope, not for Logan's legacy, but for the tiny bloom that rose from the ashes. Bill learned the news from a neutral acquaintance at a gala. He raised a glass in solitude, toasting the child he'd never meet. Live fierce little one, he murmured. And forgive the fools who came before. Although Luna's narrative did not end in catastrophe, it did leave a scar that taught resilience. She held her daughter close in the delivery room, Finn's tears mingling with her own, and the circle closed. The unexpected action, the loss, and the cause were all chapters in a broader story of survival. Sadness lasted as a silent companion, but so did love, unwavering and profound. When she heard Bill's footsteps echoing in the corridor, she gently turned. His face was drawn, and the weight of something dreadful crushed against his eyes. What had previously been a bond, however complicated and fragile, now seemed like frayed rope about to snap. He approached her with cautious movements, yet she did not recoil. Her heart pounded so hard she feared it would burst through her chest. The baby inside her, the life she carried, felt like her only anchor amidst the devastation he had caused. Luna. Bill's voice trembled and faltered. He turned aside, as if he couldn't face the prospect of witnessing what he'd done to her. She saw remorse, anxiety, and something darker, resolve. She forced a calm breath. "What are you planning to do, Bill?" He closed the distance and paused, standing so near that she could feel the heat on his body. His hand trembled as he considered whether to touch her or push her away. Luna stood her ground. "I can't let this continue," he murmured in a low, strained voice. "This pregnancy was not supposed to happen," she said, swallowing. Every nerve in her body strained and waited. He inhaled forcefully. "I'm sorry." Then he did it. His hand flicked, and the bottle he'd hidden behind his back slid into Luna's palm before she even noticed. She stared down, astonishment and dread overwhelming her senses. It was a little syringe with opaque and silent contents. Her hand shook. She looked up at him, but he did not meet her gaze. "Why?" she started, but he shook his head. "You shouldn't have this," he said, as if she were holding poison itself. "You shouldn't carry this burden." "Oh, Bill." Luna's voice shook as the room closed in around her. She held the syringe like it was a weapon or a curse. He moved forward gently yet quickly. "Please, Luna. Please don't fight me." Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to process the unthinkable. A guy she had previously trusted, a man she thought would protect her, was ready to betray her unborn child. "No," she whispered. He closed the distance, his lips twitching with delicate words. Then the world broke. The next few hours were a whirl of anxiety and pain. The syringe, the coldness of treachery, the way her body convulsed in terror. Each moment was etched into her mind. She dropped on the floor, gripping her stomach and moaning, the pain a dagger twisting inside her. Bill knelt beside her, fear in his eyes and his hands stained with the repercussions of his actions. Luna's vision blurred, the edges deepening as she struggled to remain aware. The baby, the life within, slid out of her grasp. When she woke up, she was in a hospital bed. The room smelled of antiseptic and despair. Her vision swam, and the machines beeped with icy persistence. She lay there, delicate and hollow, as the world around her changed, but nothing would ever be the same for her. She felt emptiness where hope once was. The child she had dared to adore, the child who had become her connection to something better, had vanished. The harsh action of the man who pretended to care had ripped it away. Tears stained her pillow. Luna glanced at the ceiling, the antiseptic lights above resembling distant stars she could not reach. She wanted to scream, demand justice, and feel again. Instead, she took short breaths, struck into silence by the hollowness that suddenly characterized her. She remembered the moments she had dared to dream, whispered lullabies to an unseen life, gentle touches on a swelling tummy, promises she never dared to make aloud. Everything vanished. Instead, she felt emptiness, sorrow, and shame, as well as a shattered trust that she could never mend. Bill stood in the doorway, face pale and frightened. He stopped there, caught in his remorse and unable to cross the door. She heard him mutter her name, as if in a plea or a prayer. But she couldn't react. The bond he severed was irreversible. She reflected on the future that would never come. The calm moments in a nursery, the lullabies, the first laugh, the first steps. A bitter illusion now, flickering on the fringes of her despair, always out of reach. She lay there, her body throbbing and her emotions heavier than she ever imagined possible. Nights would arrive. Days would pass. People would tell her that the wound would heal with time. But nothing comforted her in the depths of her despair. This was her narrative now. A life plagued by what was lost. A betrayal so complete that memory itself felt lost. Luna would bear that pain indefinitely, while no one else would ever feel its weight. She would walk a lonely path, only hearing the echoes of what she had loved, what had been stolen from her, and what she could never recover.